Oh, hey, what's going on, everybody? Well, you'll see my guest in a minute.
His guest is tripping.
My guest. This is my guest. This is. Let's see. Let me see if I can get all the accolades right. We got. Let's see.
Oh my God.
Producer, entrepreneur, poet, singer, playwright. Is that right?
Nervous person?
Nervous person. Did I say? I think I said poet already.
Yes, you did.
But I'm gonna say it anyway. Again. This is whenever she sits back down.
Yes.
This is my homegirl. She goes by, Ty Caldwell. I ain't never called her Ty a day in my life.
Never. He's not allowed to.
She's always been Tahita to me. I've known Tahita, since
Over 30 years.
Yeah, over 30 years. It's been 30 years. We grew up in the same area, grew up in the same neighborhood. My son is named after her cousin, who died the day before my high school graduation. And we have been, I don't know, it's just like, we've always been like, we've talked, but the past recent years, we just
became like,
that's my homegirl right there.
Mm-hmm.
So she has graciously agreed to let me interview her. Whoa. Yeah. So, but you know what though? She interviewed me a while.
It was awesome.
Was 2 years ago?
2 years.
2 years ago since we did that, and people ask me why I wanted to share my story, and the reason I shared my story is because I saw a poem that this young lady, she wrote and she performed it, and it was called The Mask. And when she was talking about her mask, I was like, I have one. I have one too. I wonder if her mask looks like mine.
Yeah.
So Tahita and I, we've
yeah, man. Look, we gonna go on in today.
So we we've read each other's poetry since high school.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, since high school. But her stuff lately really spoke to me. Your stuff really spoke to me, and because of you, I felt comfortable telling my story.
Awesome.
And I guess I don't know how we really want to dive into this.
I don't know.
Yeah, so how about we ease into it?
We're gonna ease into it.
Ease into it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this for some folks. First and foremost, I am absolutely honored to be here at Fade the Shade Away.
Yes!
And I hope people end up explaining for people who don't know where the title came from. I have been off of social media since a little bit before my birthday.
Yeah.
Like, you see me up there creeping some
Yeah.
and posting comments and things of that nature, but I really haven't been doing the posts like I usually do.
Right.
For everyone who is saying hello or something right now on
Carol.
mine, I apologize. I can't see you. I got the phone over there away from me. So hello to each of you. Blaze is amazing. For those who know him, you just, like, he's sincere. He is genuine. He is resilient. A friend to the end. Far better than Chucky. And so when he told me he was doing this series on mental health, I was like, wow, that is amazing. It needs to be done. And when he invited me to tell my story, I was like,
yeah, she was a little hesitant. She was a little hesitant.
Okay. All right.
But that's normal though.
Yeah.
That's normal though, because not many people want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Not many people want to talk about it, especially because it puts that sense of vulnerability out.
Absolutely.
And it gets to a point where it's like, okay, if I tell this story, how are people going to use this? How are they going to take it? What are they going to get from it? Are they going to think that, I'm different because I came out and said it?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know those were the things that I felt, things that I've dealt with. But to come around and see that people actually listen and people actually relate to the things that we said,
absolutely,
makes a big difference. So, you're not gonna, try to get the attention off of you, like trying to tell me stuff? Because I know how you do. Because I know how you do.
This is the first time that I have had an in-depth interview, y'all.
Right.
For people who know me, you know that I am Ty Caldwell of
Yes.
I Push Greatness.
She pushes greatness.
I love it. I have amazing people in my life, and I love highlighting people, places, and things that I feel are great. But I've been interviewed, I think, once.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an in-depth interview. It was more about Ty Miles Productions, because
Right.
I do productions where life meets entertainment. That's
Yes.
Ty Miles Productions.
Yes.
But this is going deep, and there are only a few people in my inner circle who know some of the things that I've dealt with,
Yeah.
that I've struggled with,
Yeah.
the majority of my life, actually.
Yeah.
So we can go
All right,
however you want to.
Okay, so let's start like this. Okay, so you and I have had this conversation talking about how, where we come from, we're not supposed to talk about problems.
Oh no.
You're not supposed to talk about your problems. You're not supposed to talk about your issues. You're supposed to either pray about it.
Yep.
Talk to the folks at church.
Yes.
Or keep it to yourself.
Go to the altar.
Yeah. And I guess I want to know for you. I don't know if it started for me at the same time, but I want to talk about Bird.
Okay. Ooh.
And that's like Bird like this Gabriel. That's the guy. He's it's our cousin.
My first cousin passed away.
Yeah.
Day before graduation,
so
1998.
1998, 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew about death, but we never. I guess it had been a long time since our neighborhood had somebody so young pass.
Oh yeah.
And for me, that's when I kind of started to see a little bit of a change.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't as close
I got
to
you
you.
sort of out of your camera.
No, you go. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. You don't need to see me that way. But I think for me, that's when I kind of started to notice a little bit of change in how I dealt with things.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only imagine what that was like for you.
Ooh. Oh wow. So I can remember that day very vividly. I was working at Wendy's, and I was getting ready to go to work. My grandfather was visiting Uncle James, which is next door.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Gabriel stayed at.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Gabriel earlier that day. So earlier that day, I think he must have been washing his car.
Yeah.
And I saw him when he pulled off on his motorcycle. And I was like, hey, because I was trying to get his attention for something. But my motorcycle was too loud.
Yeah.
He went on about his business.
Yeah.
So fast forward about an hour later, went down to my uncle's to tell my grandfather that I was going to work. And I heard my uncle say, he's on the phone. He said he went under. He didn't come back up. Like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
And he was talking about Gabriel.
Yeah.
So it was one of the most, I've never seen anything like it when we were at Lake Royale.
Yeah.
Like the way everyone just ended up coming in,
Yeah.
like a flood. The first thing I saw was Brian Nichols. Was it Brian? I want to say it was Brian. He was clinging to his helmet,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And because I don't think it was Lewis.
Right.
So he's clinging to his, and I was like, what is going on? And I was like screaming, like, what's
Right.
going on? And I
Right.
remember, I think I saw Lewis as well.
Right.
And it just seemed like it was forever before they pulled his body out. And his, I heard when they said we have the body. Not we found Gabriel.
Well, yeah.
But and that's
Yeah.
technically that's what you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
I know that,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
people don't know that with you're not supposed to just say the person.
Right.
Say we found the body, and
Yeah.
it was just unreal. And I remember afterwards trying to deal with it.
Yeah.
I would replay it over and over again in my head every single day.
Right.
And when I was going to work, I was always passing the graveyard to get on 98 Highway. And I thought I was okay. I remember the first Christmas without him.
Yeah.
I tried to drink. Now, for people who know me, know I don't drink.
Yeah.
I remember mixing some strawberry kiwi lemonade with Bacardi rum.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah.
And
young folk don't know.
Yeah,
no
young folk who don't know no better. I'd seen death a lot, so that one that one, the grieving was just very hard.
Yeah.
The grieving was just very hard because we came up together. I mean,
Yeah.
he was next door. He was more like a little brother
Yeah.
than a cousin. So, for the longest time, that was the worst hurt in my life.
Right.
Until 2008, that was the
Right.
worst hurt in my life.
Ah, 2008.
Yeah, 2008 is the one that triggered a lot of stuff.
So I wanna, before we get to 2008,
I can get up
I'm
and walk.
gonna stop my washing machine
Yeah.
because it's running really crazy. This is really rude, but I apologize.
So everyone, hey, how you doing? What you been up to? Do you have anything that you've been struggling with? I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a while. This is my first time being interviewed, so, and it's a pretty deep subject. Blaze has been doing a great job highlighting mental health, and we're back at it.
Quit talking about me. Quit talking about me. We're talking about you.
What had happened was.
All right, so 2008. I want to get to that, but I want to talk
No, take
about.
time.
I want to talk about I guess, the grieving process. What did the grieving process look like for you? Because I know, we go to the funeral. It's always a homegoing celebration, right? That's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a celebration. We're not gonna talk about the bad. We're not gonna talk about, how sad we are.
Mm-hmm.
He's going home to be with the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's how we're supposed to do it. We're not supposed to. I mean, we can cry at the funeral,
Mm-hmm.
but after the funeral, ain't supposed to be nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to just be able to move on with your life,
Yeah.
right? So
yeah.
what was the grieving process for you? What did that look like?
Dark.
Right.
The grieving process for me was dark. I don't know. I cannot even tell anybody how long it took me to get past missing him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I really can't. I mean, I don't have. There is nothing deep I have to follow that. You were talking about the day before he was to graduate, and drowning of all things. Like he swam like a fish.
Yeah.
So drowning of all things, and just seeing him maybe an hour or so before, and then he was gone just like that.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, did I ever tell him I loved him? Like, did he know that I loved him?
Yeah.
Things like that. It was just very, very dark for me. I remember Kendrick Foster telling me once, he saw me walking down the street once after Gabriel passed away, and he was like, Tahita, you scared me. You look like a zombie. Because I was just so out of it. I hadn't used any drugs. I hadn't been drinking or anything like that, but I was so gone.
Yeah.
I was just so, it was like a piece of my soul died.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that, like, this is it.
It's
so final.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't tell you how long it was. I can't go any deeper to how the process was.
Right.
It was just dark.
Right.
And I remember just writing poetry and just trying to deal with it, but my life was never the same.
Yeah, and for me, I think I had a similar feeling. I can't say it was the same because, like you say, that was your people, that was your family, and I saw him a week prior. I mean, we would play football together and all this stuff, and we used to ride bikes all the time and all of that stuff. But I saw him a week prior to graduation. We was laughing, and it's like, man, what's going on? I said, man, ain't nothing. We just doing our thing. But it's just like that moment when he passed, I just, I really couldn't fathom it. I didn't, because it didn't seem real.
No.
My cousin was 18. Well, he wasn't 18 yet.
Nope, wasn't 18
He was
yet.
17. And
18 July.
Yeah, and it just, like you, I went to my book and started writing. And I remember I wrote a poem just for him for graduation.
Yes.
And that poem, I wanted to read that poem because I felt that he should be honored. You know what I mean? Because he was as silly as he was.
Yes.
As silly as he was, as goofy as he was, as crazy as he was our bird.
Yeah.
And everybody, especially everybody from the neighborhood, I wanted them to see him like we saw.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, that was tough.
It was very tough.
Yeah, I think that was one of those ones that I cried a few days, and then I just had to push it on down. Because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I remember trying to be there for everybody else. I remember Erica taking it horribly.
Oh, yeah.
My soul ate, man.
Yeah.
At the wake.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the wake. It was the I guess it's the wake, the viewing of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing that, it was her and it was some other folks. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a pallbearer wasn't no fun either.
Woo.
So
They hit us hard.
yeah. So rest in peace, the bird. Never ever forgotten. Never
forgotten.
ever. So we're gonna move on to, I guess, 2008. I don't know what happened in 2008.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you want to go into it.
Ooh.
But you know what?
Okay.
But you know what? Let's what happened?
All right. Okay, folks. So, first and foremost, thank you all for joining in to Fade the Shade Away.
Yes.
Can you tell them what that's about first, and then I'll go into it?
All right. So, Fade the Shade Away came about when it was a poem that one of my students, his name was Marcus Purdy. Marcus's birthday is actually today, and so he wrote a poem back in middle school. He was one of those kids that you knew was going to go so very, very, very far, and he passed away unexpectedly. And the poem to me represented. It really didn't hit me until I became an adult and went through the stuff that I went through. Mm-hmm. And, fade the shade away. So the darkness and stuff that I've dealt with depression, the divorce, the separation, and all that stuff. Okay, that's the shade. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it comes over us, it takes over, and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to fade that shade away to bring some more light into the situation, and that's why I came up with the name for that podcast, in memory to him, but also as a way to bring, I guess, just awareness, not just about mental health issues, mental illness, but also about issues like everyday issues, like being a single father, dealing with friends, and talking about dating, talking about what we can expect when it comes to life, and how to deal with different types of issues. Yeah. So that's the purpose of this podcast.
Gotcha.
So, but I told you this series we're doing a mental health series, and I want to talk to different people who have different opinions and different thoughts and different stories. And I thanked you before, but I do want to thank you for coming out and actually being up and talking about some of the things that you will talk about, or may not talk about, or may touch on.
No, we're gonna go ahead and go in.
So let's go in. You almost made me cry, jerk.
I was gonna rub it back. I was gonna do a boom, and I was like, he got a tear. He got a tear. Okay, he wiped it away. He wiped it away.
I'm a thug. Don't forget.
Jeez.
All right, go ahead on.
So when you came to I Push Greatness, and we did an interview, after the interview we were talking.
Yes. And
you noticed something.
I did.
I don't remember how he noticed or how we segued into a conversation, but what did you notice?
I noticed that you had some cuts on your wrist, and I looked at him. I was like, I don't remember her ever saying she, tried to jump over some barbed wire or something and bun or anything like that.
I was real parkour and stuff, and flipping out of trees and everything.
But I looked at it and I was just like, I got a cut on my wrist. I want if her wrists, her cuts match mine, or for the same reasons. Mm-hmm. And we started talking about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. We didn't really go into deep detail, but you talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but you told me that you were a cutter. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I really didn't know exactly what it was. I've dealt with one other person who cut. Mm-hmm. And the way she described it to me was like, when she's having a tough time, when she feels like nothing else works, she can't talk to anybody. Talking to nobody won't make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking won't make it better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just getting away won't make it any better.
Mm-hmm.
But that cut seems like it was just a release.
Mm-hmm.
And things started to get a little bit better.
All right. So, if you are a parent, please pay attention. Pay attention because it is a growing epidemic among our young people, especially middle school age. So many folks will end up thinking, oh, not my child. My child wouldn't do this. Never my child. That is a white folks thing. Or if you're white, you're thinking, oh, that's some rich people's issue that their kids have. Never my kids.
Right.
And that is absolutely incorrect.
Right.
It covers all demographics and it can actually follow you into adulthood.
Right.
Whew.
Take your time.
All right.
Take your time. Take your time.
Man, no, we're going to go into this
All right.
because the time for it is now.
Okay.
So you end up sending me some questions and you asked me in one of the questions, why now? Why tell your story now?
Yes.
And it is because once you have healed from a thing, you definitely don't want anybody else to suffer through it.
Right.
When you've had that type of pain or that type of darkness or that type of challenge, if you can at all help somebody else avoid those pitfalls or to know that they're not alone,
Right.
then, you know, that's where you are.
Right.
And so my friend is being brave, which gave me permission to be brave, and that's why I'm here. So let's go into it.
All right.
So before 2008, because that ended up being that critical low point and the cusp of a whole bunch of problems.
Right.
I was in middle school. So let's go back to middle school real quick. Actually, let's go back further than that.
Okay.
Elementary school.
All
So
right.
elementary school, I dealt with depression.
Really?
Yeah, I was dealing with depression in elementary school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would have never thought that.
Yes, and people did not know. I remember it was a lady named Miss Strickland. She was a counselor that was there. A lady with brown, short hair.
Yep, I remember her.
I remember getting great grades in school. I was getting A's, AB honor roll, but on my hey, whoever just made a comment, but I can't see it. I apologize, y'all. The phone's too far away. I was making good grades, but I was getting N's in conduct. So people who are old enough, y'all know.
Oh, yeah.
We used to get S's for satisfaction.
Yeah, because you were hell on wheels a little bit.
Oh my gosh!
You were.
Dude!
Sorry,
Okay. I was. I had a horrible attitude.
Yeah.
I had a horrible, let me do it this way. I had a horrible attitude with certain authority figures.
Yes.
And so they sent me to counseling, and I started going to counseling with Miss Strickland. And I remember writing in my journal. I had this notebook, and I would write in there. And I used to get in trouble for writing in class sometimes.
Yeah.
But they started sending me to counseling. Now, mind you, they didn't let my mother know that.
Right.
For some reason, they just started sending me, probably because, again, the attitude.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her and everything. And I remember one particular day, she says, how was your day? And I told her that my day was bad because Miss Doyle took my journal, she took my diary, and I was real upset about it. And she asked me what I would write in it sometimes. And I told her, and I think she asked me, did I ever feel like killing myself or harming myself or something? And I was like, yeah, but I don't feel like that now. And I just kept on doing what I was doing.
Wow. In elementary school.
In elementary school. In elementary school, I was dealing with suicidal ideations.
Yeah.
Is that ideations?
Yeah. Now, let's mind you, now, this is 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I was in 4th grade.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in 4th grade. And I didn't think that was just like not normal or anything. And I said it in passing and I kept it moving. But she went to the principal and Miss Horton. She was Miss Horton.
Right.
And then they went to Miss Doyle and they got the journal. And I guess they turned it over, ended up going up to social services.
Right.
And then they called my mother and it was like, you have to take her to get evaluated.
Wow.
And I remember my mother saying,
wow.
They are talking about they're going to put me in jail if I don't take you to this place to see this therapist. And at the time, I was staying with my grandfather. My mother has always worked like 3 jobs.
Yeah.
She's always been a hard worker, always been a great provider.
Right.
And I remember being so mad at Miss Strickland because I felt so betrayed. You know, I'm in 4th grade. I don't understand. She has to do this.
Yeah.
And she was trying to explain to me I had to because you were talking about, harming yourself. And I'm like, they are making me move.
Right.
They are taking me from my grandfather. I have to move with my mother now. I have to move to Lewisburg. And from there, I remembered I was like, I'm not trusting people again.
Right.
I would not trust people with my story again. I keep it to myself.
Yeah.
I remember my grandfather telling me, you got to be careful what you write down. And all that I learned was, if you tell people what you're dealing with, this is the bad results.
Yeah.
I got snatched away from my grandfather.
Yeah.
And that's all I had in my mind.
And at a young age, that kind of shapes
Everything.
Everything.
That was the lens I looked through. So
right.
then, let's fast forward. I'm in middle school. I'm at Terrell Lane. And I got in trouble in school because I'm still unruly with authority.
Mm-hmm.
Got in trouble in school. And they were talking about calling my mother. And the lead pencils used to have the metal tip to them.
Yeah,
I don't know if they still
those.
do.
Yeah.
And I remember waiting and knowing I am going to catch hell later, and digging into my arm and like sort of scraping it. And that was the first step of sort of like discovering cutting, like sort of like punishing myself. And I remember a lady came out, she saw me, she's like, no, we don't do tattoos, because nobody talked about cutting. I was in like 7th grade. So she didn't realize that was self-harm. And I think this is the mark. I think I might be wrong, but I think that's it.
Wow.
And that was then, and time passed, and somehow I started using razors.
Okay.
I don't have any idea how.
Right.
It wasn't because I knew of no one that was doing it.
Right.
I'd never read about it. I'd never seen anything about it. I just remember wanting to be dead. I remember having this horrible relationship with my mother. I remember being depressed, hating who I saw in the mirror.
Right.
I'm the one that's dark skinned because I was around Townsville, so
right.
light skin won't be long hair. So I was a big one with the curl, and then I started developing acne, and your mother doesn't even like you, and you were so stupid you got snatched away from your grandfather, and you're just worthless, you're just nothing. And so I thought about, what happened was initially I thought about cutting my wrist, but I didn't want to follow through with that, so it was just starting off with cuts. And that's when I realized that, this is a release for me.
Okay.
Because technically what happens in the body is that it releases endorphins.
Right.
And it's sort of like it's like for those who work out, you work out, the endorphins are released, you feel better.
Yes.
That's like what you do now. You work out and you feel better. So the same thing happens when somebody is cutting, is that chemically endorphins are released, and if you don't know how to cope with stress and cope with emotions and can't manage that, then sometimes you turn to cutting, which is what a lot of young people do. And the other thing is that people don't realize, you'll see a child that's going around with long sleeves in the summertime, and you think they're just going through a phase, that's just something that they're doing. A lot of times they're covering cuts that they have, because I have cuts all right here. This is the first time I have ever openly just brought attention to it. Right. So that's a whole nother, we'll go into that in a minute. And also, if your child never wears shorts, and they used to wear shorts and now they don't wear them, they may be cutting on their thighs.
That's what I was going to go to, because it seems like it'll be easier it seems like it will be easier to hide it up here on the thighs, as opposed to on the arms.
On the arms, for me it was just easy access right here, and I could see the blood coming, I could see the results of it, and I could just control it better. And I wouldn't want anything to stick to it. If I was doing it on my legs, I guess it would just stick to it. So that's part of it.
Okay. So starting in elementary school,
the depression.
It's, you wrote in your journal. It took your journal away, which caused you not to trust people, because it caused you to be taken away from your grandfather to go stay with your mom. Then you get to go to a new school, new people that you don't really know.
Lewisburg folks were evil. They were evil. All Lewisburg people are not evil now, but for those who don't know, Lewisburg and Bunn, though they are 15 minutes away, are horrible rivals. And they drug me at Lewisburg, and it pushed me deeper into it.
And I can only, I'm gonna say now, I can only imagine now. So your vision, your view of the world is so skewed at this young age.
Yeah, man.
And it's just like, okay, I was doing this thing to help me out. You take it away from me, and then you send me somewhere else. It's like, so what's wrong with me? All right. Okay. All right. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Keep going.
Yeah. Right. So we go ahead, we deal with that. We're dealing with the depression. And at some point, I ended up moving back with my grandfather. So let's just speed up to 2000. Let's go to 98.
Okay.
So 98 is when Gabriel passed away.
Right.
98 is also the year that I met a person that changed the course of my life.
Right.
So when you don't think highly of yourself.
Right.
When you don't have self-respect, or you don't have high self-esteem, or you don't know what a healthy relationship looks like, what it should entail, then you can end up drawing the wrong type of people to you.
And they just come say, hey!
Exactly, and that's exactly what happens.
Let's take you a little bit deeper.
And that's exactly
Let's take you to that. Let's take you to an even darker place.
Dude, talk about it.
All right.
And broken people have a tendency to attract broken people.
Yeah.
So now there was a time where I blamed dude. I was like, sorry, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I can't do that now. I can honestly say I drew him to me.
Right.
And I'm gonna be very frank in the rest of this talking.
Yeah.
Y'all forgive me. No, I'm not about to do any cursing.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna be very. It's gonna be blunt.
Right.
And I will also say that some people who are friends with me right now may not be friends with me after this interview. And I'm being very serious about that.
I understand.
Because of the topic and the subject matter. And I understand that is your choice.
Yes.
I do. So, you will understand more about me though.
Yeah.
So 98 ended up meeting this guy. Unfortunately, he was a drug dealer. Now, I talk to the young people about this now, your values, are you ever put in a position that conflicts with your values?
Right.
So I always believed that selling drugs was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're destroying the neighborhood.
Right.
You're destroying people.
Right.
But end up hooking up with this guy that was a drug dealer.
Right.
That I met through an ex.
Right.
And it was supposed to just been a booty call.
Right.
I wasn't trying to get in no relationship with nobody.
Right.
He already had somebody he was dealing with.
Right.
But giving yourself over to people, I'm telling you, when you give your body over to someone, sometimes an attachment comes with that. Does it always? No, it doesn't. But at that time, I was in a vulnerable place.
Right.
So end up dealing with him on a regular basis, and it just spiraled into 12 years of on and off. In between time, dude was locked up. Now, mind you, at the time, he was staying with somebody. He was staying with his children's mother when I first met him.
Right.
I didn't meet him at their house. I met him at the trap house. I guess they call it trap house now.
House. Yeah, that's what it's called. That's what the kids call it.
Yeah, that's what the kids call it, right? So that's where I met him at. Ended up dealing with him for some time, and he ended up getting locked up part of the time. I remember going by, getting off work after working a 12-hour shift, going visiting him in prison. A lot of women, not all women, a lot of women have this thing of, I want to show him that I'm loyal. I want to show him that I'm ride or die.
Right.
I want to show him that I got his back.
Right.
And of course, was he gonna say no? Go somewhere else? No, he wants as many people coming to see him as possible and have his back. So I was coming up there. One of the children's mothers was coming up there. It was just a horrible situation.
Right.
It was a horrible situation, and two of the kids had a great relationship with them. The mom, she knew I would come by. She wouldn't have any issues with me coming to get him. Like, he had an older child. It was just so much going on. But again, when you don't love yourself, when you don't have self-respect, and you're thinking, well, we're so much alike.
Yeah.
And I understand his struggle, and I understand how he feels like this, and he's just some of the women in his life just haven't done him right. And nah, you broken, and you seeing his brokenness, and you think you can fix him, and you hoping he can fix you. You can't look to other people to fix you.
Right.
And I apologize, y'all. This is probably something got to be broke up in some sessions.
Yeah.
But just getting you to the 2008. So at one point we were talking about we were going to get married and all this craziness, and he got out. No. Before he got out, I think he must have said something to me about taking a break or something. And I was like, okay. And then he wanted to get back together, but that was the break that I needed. When he said that, he gave me a second to get my brain together, and I didn't communicate with him for like 2 years. He ended up going up north. He was still locked up. He ended up going up north. He finished his time. Yeah. He finished his time, and he got out. And and I heard that he was getting married.
Oh.
But no, because now I'm gonna tell you about trifling women. I was a trifling woman. I'm sitting here like, now, all this time, you trying to act like nothing going on with you and no girl. All this time, you were acting like, oh, well, in order for me to see my kids, she has to be the one. I'm gonna pause real quick. Parents, fathers, and mothers, if you have kids that are around the dating age, get them to watch He's Just Not That Into You. Get the young girls to watch. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen that movie?
Mm-hmm. We talked about that.
Okay, He's Just Not That Into You. Because there are plenty of signs there, but we try to fool ourselves and say, no, maybe this is going on. Maybe he didn't call back because of this. And when you have friends on the sideline as well, like, girl, let me tell you, he might have lost your number. Yeah. He seemed like he was really feeling you. No, he's just not that into you. Right. You are not the one. You are not the one to fix him. Right. So I was like, oh, I found out that you're supposed to be getting married. And he was like, well, you didn't talk to me for 2 years and blah, 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 blah. And this is what's going on. And I said, you're not going to really marry her. You just saying it. You're not going to really marry her. Call me when you get married. And he got married. He did. He got married. I was like, okay, well, cool. Good for you. She really loves you. She can deal with all that stuff. Awesome. Right. And then later on...
Hey, Joy.
Hey, Amina! And then we tried to be friends. And that was the horrible mistake. And everything spiraled even further from there. Okay. You can't be friends with dysfunction. We did not have any type of healthy relationship. There was no reason for us to still be in contact with one another. When first off, I shouldn't even stay in contact with him while he was locked up, but especially when he got married, that should have been a no-fly zone.
Okay, so all right, so I'm listening to all of this, and I'm seeing how it's kind of like the cycle it repeats. Mm-hmm. The cycle repeats when it comes to you and how you deal with things. Mm-hmm. And you start elementary school, middle school, now becoming an adult.
Yep.
It's like you never really got the chance to get any closure, so you could actually. Ooh. You never got any closure with really anything.
With trauma.
Yeah, and it's like but that's the thing though. Yeah. It's just like it's kind of like you're supposed to have had a time limit to deal with with being taken from your grandfather, starting at a new school, losing your cousin. And then, you didn't deal with that.
No,
you didn't deal with that, and it's not that we didn't have the tools.
Look at you.
It's like we didn't have the tools. We didn't know how to, because you think about our folks when they grew up, they didn't deal with they didn't deal with emotions. We knew that they loved us.
Yeah.
But their job was get up, go to work, come home, keep moving.
Make sure you eat.
Make sure you eat. That
Clothes
was it.
on your back.
That was it. And it's like there was no, I guess, moral support. And then you could get it from your friends.
But they only know as much as you.
And that's the thing. But then with that, you can get it from your friends, but you don't trust anybody because when you open yourself up to people.
You get slapped
in the face, and that's the thing what you're dealing with. Okay, I'm sorry. This is my mental health counseling training,
and that's good.
Is coming in. So go. I'm listening. Keep on.
So
dysfunction.
Yeah, dysfunction.
Trying to be friends.
Yeah, trying to be friends. End up being a side chick. Yeah, end up being a side chick. So, and I know some people can watch this and say, "How is she so candid about it?" I'm candid about it because I'm able to heal from it. And the other thing is, I don't make any excuses about it.
Right.
It's nothing that I'm proud of. It is one of the other one, the number one will come up later. But one of my most unproud moments ever. But I say it because somebody's a side chick right now. Unfortunately. Somebody who doesn't think enough of herself, or somebody who think, oh, well, she thinks she got him on lockdown. She thinks she got it like that, but he come and he see me, and you know what he gonna be at on Valentine's Day? He gonna be with me. and he'll end up seeing her after. I'm gonna be the one getting the ring. I'm gonna be the one getting the dozen roses. The only reason he's dealing with her is because the kids. There is somebody that is watching this right now, and you've been a side chick for years, and you think something's gonna change, and you think you're winning, and you're not.
Right.
And you're doing little slick stuff on social media, and you think it's cute, and you got your friends that are co-signing that crap, and it's not cute.
Right.
And it's women and some men to do the same thing, but I'm a woman, so I'm talking about women right now.
Right.
It's such a cycle, and especially if you have children, they see it.
Right.
My kids are too young. Some stuff you pass on to your kids, and they don't even have to see it. But that's some generational stuff. We talk about that another time.
Right. Yeah.
So
you deflecting. Let's go.
Oh,
on. Let's get
yeah.
back.
So we'll go ahead and we'll get back to it. So we could not be friends, and we ended up having sex, and we had sex more than once. I can count on my hands how many times it was. Once was too many times.
Right.
But he didn't get me pregnant on purpose.
Oh no.
So
that's shiesty right there.
It was. But here's the thing. How I'm gonna get mad at him when I put myself in that position?
Right.
It's like I can remember specifically when I got pregnant, and I was like, "Oh God, please, don't let me get pregnant from this." Like it was just, it was like in my mind, like this is bad. This is bad, and time passed about 6 weeks, and I remember I walked in the Food Lion, and I was nauseous. And I was like, Dad, why is this?
Yeah.
What is going on? And I ended up taking a pregnancy test. And mind you, I'd taken a pregnancy test a long time ago, so I'm expecting this to be negative. I just took it just to take it. And I took it and I walked away, and I was going away for minutes, and I came back and I saw 2 lines, and I was like,
oh.
I was like, nah, this ain't real.
Right.
And I went to Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree tests do work. I went to Dollar Tree, and I took another test, and I was like, whoa, wow. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh my God, I am pregnant. Like all this time that I have been out here. So in 2008, I was 27.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2008, I was 28. I was 28, and I was getting ready to turn 29.
Yeah.
So, because I'm always a year ahead.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I was 28 years old. I was supposed to be preparing for my initial sermon in church. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here dealing with this dude that's married. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sick because I'm like, how did I get in this position? How was I, again, so stupid? I look at, all my life, like, how do I keep being in these stupid positions, and I keep losing?
Yeah. So
I'm pregnant. I call him and I say that I'm pregnant, and all types of cussing want to come out my mouth right then. Yeah. And he was happy. He was happy. He was excited, and I'm sitting here like, you married, and you're acting like you're gonna go somewhere, and you're not going anywhere. Right. And I haven't asked you to go nowhere. I don't expect, because this is wrong. Right. I know this is wrong.
Right.
But soul ties are real when you're dealing with folks. So anyway, and I was like, I need to go to the clinic to get checked out, because I was what happened? I need to go to the clinic to make sure this is real. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I need $25. This dude didn't have $25 to give me.
Oh man.
He can't give me $25, and at the time I wasn't working, so I was like, okay. So I go to the clinic, and the lady tries to tell me how many weeks she thought I was, and I was like, because again, this won't no full on, we having sex every day, every weekend. I was like, no, it was this time. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, you're right. If your period was this time, I said, yeah. She told me how far I was. She's like, oh, so where's the father? Is he happy? I was like, yeah, he's excited. And It won't no excitement to me because this is wrong.
Right.
This is not the way
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to start a family.
Right.
And so I ended up spotting.
Mm-hmm.
I was spotting. And I remember going to the emergency room, and they told me exactly how far I was. They pulled him up on the ultrasound.
Yeah.
They pulled the baby up on the ultrasound because
Mm-hmm.
I was still early out, and they was talking about, oh, the heartbeat is strong, and I said, can I hear it? And they was like, no, it's too little to hear, but you know, we can see it
Mm-hmm.
like beating. And I remember going home and laying on the couch and singing.
Mm-hmm.
I was singing this song by Donny Hathaway called A Song for You.
Mm-hmm.
And I was singing to the little one. And I was like, I want you, and I have nothing to offer you. And at the emergency room, they said I was spot because they was like, the doctor was so cold. He was like, you could spontaneously abort, so you know. But I mean, that's what's going on. I was like,
Uh-huh.
wow.
Yeah.
And I'm dealing with this all by myself.
Yeah.
And so people, you know, I told certain people in my life, and they were like, so, you know, what you gonna do? Some people were excited. Mind you, it was only a few.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, Tangela was one. I showed Tangela the test, and she was like, "Who pregnant?" And I was like, "Me." She was like, "By who?"
Yeah.
Cause I won't do it. I won't do it like that, but I was doing enough.
Yeah.
And I remember I started to lock my hair,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to the lady, and she was like, "What's going on with you?" Because I was like, if I'm gonna do this process, I'm gonna lock my hair and I'm gonna grow it out. And it was Miss Muna Mujahid. And she was like, what is going on with you? I was like, nothing. And she was like, no, I'm looking at your hair. I'm looking at your scalp. There's something going on with you. Because when I'm stressed, the dermatitis flares up real bad. And I was like, I'm pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, okay. She was like, by who? And I didn't want to say it. She's like, my husband, no, I know you're not pregnant by that guy. Because she remembered him from the past.
Right.
She's like, I know you're not pregnant by him.
Right.
And I was like, yes, ma'am. She's like, and so time passed. Well, not time. This was days. This was days, literally.
Right.
A week. And I'm like, I don't have anything to offer this child. Like, this child is going to be looked at as the one that broke up everything.
Right.
Is this child's siblings going to accept them? This dude can't even give me $25. I don't have no job. I'm not out on my own time. I was with my grandfather. I'm like, I am already depressed and about crazy. And I called, I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want to put them out there. But I called one of my folks, and who I love very much. And I said, will you go with me to the clinic, the abortion clinic? And he was like, yeah. And he came and he got me. And he said, are you sure? Are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And I remember I pulled all the little money I had out the bank from when I had been working.
Yeah.
I pulled the money out the bank. I remember I went to the clinic, and it was the most horrible moment of my life. I remember looking around at some of the young ones who were in their like older teens and these women, and I'm like, how far are they? Why are they here? What brought them here? I was always the person that did not believe in abortions.
Right.
I was always that person. If you lay down, you having sex, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I was always that person, and here I am. I supposed to be preparing for an initial sermon. Now I'm dealt with this dude, and he's married, and I'm pregnant, and here I am, and I'm about to destroy a life. And so I can remember them saying I was 6 weeks and 6 days old, and they showed, and I'll say him. I always just thought it was a boy, so they showed him on the ultrasound, and I remember flinching, and I was like, it hurts, and the doctor was like, I know. and it was a nurse in there, and she was like rubbing my thigh, calming me down. But for him, it was just another procedure.
Yeah.
You know, it was just another day in the office.
Yeah.
And I came out, and my people was there, and I was messing with my phone. This is when we still had flip phones, and I was messing with my phone, like trying to just act like everything was okay. And I remember he knocked the phone out my hand and just grabbed my hand, and I just laid on him, and I was just so done and so empty. And because when it happened, it was like, you know, the dread that you feel from depression.
Yeah.
It was like the dread was in this case that was in my body, right? And when they took my child, it flooded everything in here and spread. It was like darkness just spread everywhere in my body.
Right.
And he took me home, and I remember he left, and I got the keys to my car, and I went to Raleigh, because I'm like, I'm going to go watch a movie. I think Bad Boys or Bad Boys 2 is out. I was like, I got to watch something that's going to make me laugh or let me be okay. And my car broke down right in the middle of Doggone Street in Raleigh. And I pulled over, and no, I didn't pull over. Somebody came up behind me. They pushed my car out the road, and I was just like, this day is so horrible. Like, I'm just trying to get somewhere so I can just try to calm down. And they pushed me out the road, and I told it was two gentlemen. One of the gentlemen, he was trying to work on the car, and the other guy, he was like, you know, what's going on with your day? I was like, well, I had this outpatient surgery, and I was trying to go to the movies and da-da-da-da. And he looked at me, he was like, there's only like one outpatient surgery that I know of like that. Yeah. He said, where is your driver? Yeah. And I was like, he dropped me off, and he gone. Yeah. And he was like, take yourself home. Yeah. Just go get your car straight, take yourself home, and call me when you get home. And so I went to my mother's, because my mother was out on the road. My mother drives trucks. And she wasn't home. I had the whole house to myself, and I stayed there for days. I remember I just ate like crackers and applesauce, took the pain medicine, and just laid there and cried, and laid there and cried. And I was like, this smell, this blood, this death was on me for days. Yeah. And so once I was there for days, I went back home and act like nothing ever happened.
So, again, it goes back to, I don't know how to deal with this.
Yep.
I have this traumatic event happen to me. I'm dealing with it alone.
It's my fault. I put myself in this position. I was stupid again. This is all going through my head.
Right. It was just like, you don't. And then it just goes back to this whole trust thing. It goes back to, how do we deal with grief? How do we deal with trauma? How do we deal with these horrible circumstances alone?
Yeah.
But and I'm jumping forward here. It's like, cause I'm just hearing the full story today myself.
Yeah, so y'all seeing his real time reaction.
You're seeing my real time reaction. It's taking a lot not to bawl.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, it's just like, you shouldn't have to deal with it by yourself. You shouldn't have had to. It sucks.
Yeah.
It
simply
sucks. Simply
put, man.
Simply put, it sucks. But how you're here now, and from the way, just from the past 2 years, you and I have been talking.
Yeah.
You've accomplished so much.
Thank you.
But you also, you already put information out there for people just to bring awareness.
Definitely. Yeah.
I saw the play that you wrote on cutting. I saw the play that you wrote on cutting.
Yeah.
You wrote this play and you had teenagers perform this, and
they were amazing.
They did an amazing job.
Yeah.
But you got that message out.
Yeah, it was needed. It was needed.
Yeah, you got the message out, and you brought that awareness here. You put your depression story out there. How when you talk about you wear your mask,
mm-hmm.
you put that out there. That's one of the bravest things that I've seen. Like I told you, you inspired me to do it. But the way you talked about it, I related to it, and I'm sure several other people in this world relate to it. Because you talked about how, you smile, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, man.
Like with everything else.
That's my trademark right now. This is
talking.
Real right now. Yeah. But it was time.
Yeah, but the thing about it, but you see those things, you bring those information out there. You bring awareness everywhere you go.
I try to, man.
No, you don't try, you succeed.
Well, thank you.
I remember seeing you getting arrested for protesting than for Raleigh. You know,
folks at church, they was like, I think I saw you in the news.
Yeah, I was like, I remember seeing you doing it. So the thing about it, you fight for the little person.
I know what it feels like to be the little person.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Is like you fight for the little person because you've been a little person your whole life.
Yeah.
And
little big person.
Yeah.
Hey, you know my humor.
Really,
my humor got the
little big person.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, I look at you, and it's like a lot of stuff that we're talking about. I've learned. Say this is my first time hearing about it. Mm-hmm. We've never really openly talked about Bird.
No.
We've never really. This is the first time we've actually done that.
True.
I had no idea about elementary school. I just thought you were mean as hell.
You
were never mean to me.
Yeah,
I saw other folks. I was like, yeah. I was like, I saw other people. I was like,
hey, they provoked me. Like, y'all
better not cross Tahita. And then it's just like I sit here and I'm listening to this stuff, and I'm just like, you are one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life.
What?
Yeah, just listening. Just Tahita. Do you know how many people crumble? They go to the second place and never come back out after going through what you went through.
Okay, so pause right there.
Pause.
Yeah, pause right there. With that, the only reason that I feel that I was able to get through that is my faith base. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, Father, Holy Spirit all day long. I do not attempt to push my religion. I hate even say religion because religion is these different steps, and it's very it has you bound. I have a relationship.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I straight up I have a relationship with God. I started off in church because I was raised in church.
Yeah.
I'm in church now because I got a relationship.
Yes.
And that's the difference for me.
Good.
We'll go to that second part of the story, what happened and how my faith part kicked in. We'll go in that in a minute, so you can keep going.
No. That was it, man. It's just it's amazing. Just keep on going. I know we got a few more minutes to keep going.
I apologize, y'all. I didn't mean to take so long. So much of the story that you actually need to understand for it to make sense. So let's fast forward. That was in I think June 2008, somewhere around there. Let's go to September. So I've been dealing with this. Everybody else's world is going on.
Yeah.
I killed my child.
Yeah.
And it was just another day in the office, and it was just another blip in the life. You know, when people talk to me about it, I was like, I lost a baby. I remember when the guy called, and he was like, how you doing? You haven't been answering your phone for days. That's when I was over at my mother's, and I screamed at him, and I was like, he's gone. He's gone. And he was like, what? And I was just like, don't call me no more. And I hung up. And I just, I think maybe 3 people, mind you, I might have told 5. I think 3 people knew that I had an abortion. And so I dealt with this guilt and all this crap that came with it. And of course, didn't do my initial sermon. Oh my God, telling my pastor that I was pregnant. I screamed, I hollered. She is a mom to me. Nobody, people can say, well, Ty, I understand what it is to go to your pastor. Like, everybody's situation, you can have the same situation, but your feelings in it is different. For me to go to that woman who thought and still thought so much of me and tell this woman I was pregnant when I was supposed to have been preparing for initial sermon, it was just crazy. But anyway, so fast forward, it got to me too much, and I thought I was fine, and I remember feeling the compulsion to cut.
Yeah.
To punish myself for killing my child.
Right.
To punish myself for dealing with this married man.
Right.
To punish myself for being depressed
Right.
again.
Right.
And I went into the bathroom and I got a razor. And I walked down Bun Elementary School Road. You know the little side path right there?
Right by the creek. Right by the creek.
Yeah. So I had walked down there and I was singing this song that my friend Vicky Ivy sung in this play that we were in, that is the producer of the play that he wrote. And it was saying, does God hear my prayer? Does God hear my prayer? And it talks about, does God see me cry? Does God feel my pain? If he does, how will I know? And I was like, man, does he really see me? Does he really see me? Does he really see me? And this cop car pulls up behind me. And I think I had already cut. I can't remember that part. But this cop car pulls up. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't say anything. It just sits there. And I can remember right now the feeling of being so frustrated. Like, why don't you just go away so I can just finish this? Yeah. And they went away. And I dropped the blade. Like, I threw the blade down, but not in the way they would see it, because I didn't want them to arrest me. Yeah. Like, I'm already depressed. Don't take me to jail too. Freaking jail too. Yeah. Like, geez. Yeah. So it pulled off, and I came back home. The nighttime is always the worst, man. Yeah. It never hits me like that in the daytime.
Yeah, nighttime is the worst.
So it's nighttime, Blaze, and I'm sitting there. And I sit in the chair for a while, and I'm sitting there in the darkness. I'm like, nah, you killed your child. Yeah. You just the worst. Yeah. You just the worst. Right. And I went out, and there's this, I guess it's bedrock is what you would call this big rock on the front of our yard. And I had got another razor, and I just sat out there, and I was just cutting and watching the blood just drop. Just watching the blood just drop and hit the ground below, and I couldn't feel it anymore. I remember this one when I was just getting more determined and going deeper, and just the blood was dripping down my arm into my hand and then hitting the ground. And once I tried to bleed, I have a poem that said I tried to bleed the pain out. Yeah. So I did that. And I came in and I sat on the couch, and I remember my grandfather. He would get up periodically through the night to drink water. Yeah. And I remember he got up. He's like, "Why are you sitting in the dark?" I was like, "I'm just thinking I'm fine." He was like, "Nah." My grandfather his vision had gotten very dim, so he couldn't see tears coming down my face, but he could see. He could see. Oh, he could feel. Yeah. So I'm sitting there on the couch, and he goes back in. He was like, all right. He's like, it's something going on. And he goes back to bed. And that's when I knew I don't want my grandfather to find me dead, because I cut myself too deep and bled out. Right. I got to get some help. I called my pastor the next morning, and I said, Pastor, she was like, hey. I was like, I need to talk to you. You know, I need you to come by. I need to talk to you. And she said, oh, okay, we can get some work done, because I was secretary at the church. So I get some work done. I need to go by and see my grandma. Her grandmother was in the rest home. And see her, da-da-da-da-da. And she just started talking so fast. I was like, okay, all right. And got off the phone. And I was going to do like I usually do, put on my mask, smile, everything's okay. Yeah. And something was like, you're going to die. Yeah. You're going to die. Yeah. And I was like, I said, Pastor, I don't need to do no work. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna come by and get you. So she came by, and I had on long sleeves, and I was like, so she didn't know I was cutting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need some help. And she says, okay. She was like, what type of help are you needing? And, you know, we knew we was talking about mental health. She said, do you think you need to go somewhere for a while? And I was like, well, she might have worded it differently.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew I needed to go somewhere because if I didn't, I was going to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be, I'm going to cut too deep, because the thing is when you're cutting like that, you don't always feel it. As a matter of fact, it usually gets to a point where you don't feel it anymore. You don't feel it anymore. So I would sit here and end up cutting too deep, bleed out, and no one would ever know my story.
Yeah.
No one would ever know why. And people would be surprised because, but Ty's always so happy.
Yep.
And Ty's there for everyone else. And Ty's the life of the party.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
And so it's 105.
It is. It's all good. We got a few more minutes. We'll set it up.
Okay.
So you went and got that help. You actually reached out.
I had to be vulnerable. That was the hardest thing. And I love my pastor. My pastor's a mom to me, man. My pastor's Dr. Phyllis H. Forte. And she is indeed the greatest pastor in all the land, man.
So that's how did you
You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay.
That's like I'm thug. Don't worry about me. See this? See your tattoos. Anyway, so you got to that vulnerable point, and I remember, and it's so interesting hearing what you said, because it's like you said your thought was, I don't want to be here. My grandfather found me like this.
Yeah, I couldn't have my grandfather find me dead, man.
That's how it was with me. It's like I would have Gabe or Gracie.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. And so we have to get to a point where
it should be about us, right?
Yeah,
I don't want to die.
Yeah,
I have a life worth living.
But it gets to a point where we're just like, fuck it. I gotta take care of me.
Yeah.
And you took care of you. Mm-hmm. And you were vulnerable, and you got the help.
Yeah.
You got the help.
I had to. It was and I'll go ahead. I know people are like, what help did she get? What did she do? What did she do? I'll go ahead and tell you the other part of it. So my pastor, she came, she saw me. When I say, I think no one in the family knew this until they're getting ready to find out right now.
Oh, man.
Literally, right now,
all right.
I went to Holly Hill.
Yeah.
It was a great vacation.
It was.
I
went there.
It was a great vacation.
Like 5 days of.
Yeah, me too.
5 days of.
Me too.
No worry, no phone.
Thank you.
No TV, no outside
interference. Like I had time to work on me. Now I know that I said that in a joking manner, but a lot of times people use humor to mask things. I think most people would know that now. Some of the people who are watching, you probably already do that.
Yeah.
But I literally, I mean, we went to Holly Hill, and my pastor was like, you know, this is what's going on with her. And it was like, what insurance does she have? And that woman, she was about to amp on those people up in there. It was like, she said she does not have any insurance, and she is talking about killing herself or harming herself, and da-da-da-da-da. And she went off on the folks. They was like, okay, we can do such and such and such and such. Yeah. And I, you know, voluntarily admitted myself.
Yep.
And it was, man, let me tell you something. I'm so glad. Say the name of the position that you're going for. Why are you going to school?
Mental health counseling.
Mental health counseling. We need more sympathetic people. There are folks in there who are sympathetic, but there are some straight up jerks. It's some straight up jerks up in there that look down at folks and belittle people.
Yeah.
I was in there, and because I only just had like the little wrap around my arm, and I'm the same way I am now, and I wear the mask so well, people come up to me and say, excuse me, can you such and such? I'm like, I'm I had to show him the wristband.
You too?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I was
that's the
like,
worst. It's like the people who actually in there getting help
yeah.
come talk to you.
Yeah, I'm like,
that's- oh my God, it's crazy,
just-
right?
sorry,
Yeah, I'm here.
yeah,
I'm with you
with
guys.
the-
I'm with
I'm
you.
with
I'm in the group.
them.
I'm in the group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just walking around. I'm actually with them.
Yeah.
But I was in there, and I remember a lady, my roommate. She was so nice, and she ended up seeing my arm. And man, let me tell you, when that stuff started healing and those bandages were there, and I had to like take them off, the absolute pain. But she saw my arm. She was like, "You better not ever do that to yourself again. Never do that to yourself again." And I remember being in there, and a lady was talking to me, and she says, the psychiatrist, she would come in, she would do assessments and what have you, and she was like, okay, and she's writing this prescription. The woman isn't even really like looking at me working anything. She just looked at my chart.
Yeah.
She looks at the chart. She's about to write me a prescription, and I was like, whoa. I said, I'm not getting ready to take that. I don't need that medicine. And she was like, what did you think was going to happen? I was like, I need talk therapy.
Yeah.
I said, I got pregnant by I was dealing with a married man. I got pregnant. I had an abortion, and I need to deal with it.
Yeah.
I need to talk that out.
Right.
And she's looking at me like, yeah. I'm like, it's different levels of
Yeah.
my crazy. I mean, no disrespect to anyone else,
Yeah.
but to I got different levels of this. I know what's going on with me.
Right.
I've repressed this,
Right.
and never, like you said, never got any
did.
closure. So I can't sweep under the rug that I dealt with this married man, and I got pregnant and I killed my child.
Right.
I can't, and it went against everything in me that knows the right thing to do.
Right.
So, so she was like, okay, we'll give you some time, and we're in this talk therapy, like on TV. We're in this talk therapy group, and we're talking and everything. And I remember being so angry because one of the guys was smart with someone in there, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna come back. I'm coming for you. Like, I'm coming back when I'm not being treated, and we gonna talk.
Right.
And they had us to draw this picture, Blaze. I'm like, the crap is this gonna help? This is so stupid. And I'm drawing this picture, and I drew a picture of a tree, and the tree had a hole in it, and I drew this dragon, and it had this fire coming out of it, and I could see so clearly what was going on with me. With the hole in the tree was like a piece of me died.
Yeah.
And I was so empty. In like in one area of my being, I was like so empty. And then with this dragon, I was so angry and mad and just all this pent up crap for all these years of my life. And I had to deal with it. I had to face it. Like, what brought me here? Mm-hmm. And when my pastor came, because my pastor picked me up, and she came and she looked at my arm and she was like, and my pastor had actually brought me some extra clothes. So she looked at my arm, so I'm wearing short sleeves now, and she see bandages. Mm-hmm. I was wearing long sleeves when she took me.
So
and she's looking like, what happened to your arm?
Yeah.
I was like, I cut it. Yeah. Now she ready to amp on somebody here because they ain't watching me. Yeah. She was like, how did you cut your arm here? And I was like, my arm was cut when you picked me up. But she was like, wait, how was your arm cut when I... And I remember her saying it knocked the wind out of me because she had no idea. She had no idea.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And she felt like she missed something. Mm-hmm. And I remember being in there with the lady, and the lady's like, so what are you going to do if you feel that way again? I said, well, I'll probably just wake up my grandfather and I'll just talk some things out with him and such and such and such. And the lady, exactly. That's why I need people like you that can see past stuff. Yeah. And the lady, she thinks she just has everything together. And she's like, oh, well, that's good. That's good. And my pastor's sitting over there to the side, and she's watching this woman. And she says, Ty is good at... she might have used the word deflecting and such and such. She's like, she's not getting ready to wake up her grandfather. No. And she's not getting ready to do such and such. She said she's good at doing it like she just did with you just now. Yep. And the lady was like, I said, she's actually right. Yeah. And she was done. Yeah. Like she was done. I'm like, baby, your degrees don't teach you everything. Nope. It's great to have those degrees. It's awesome. Yeah. But you need some real world knowledge. You need to really get outside these walls and deal with it.
You gotta get some empathy.
Yeah. Empathy is needed.
So I guess my question to you now is, how are you?
I am doing great. What? Yo, dude, I'm doing great. I am married.
Yes.
I have an awesome husband. I know a lot of people did not know I was married. Some people are looking at the name page.
I was like,
just
2 years ago. 2 years ago, I found out.
You found out it's gonna be 3 years in March. So you found out when I was
Forget
I was married and you know him.
Forget it.
Okay, so dang, coming for me in front of people.
How are you? How are you? Keep on going. You're doing great.
So,
you're married. You have an awesome husband.
Yes, I have an awesome husband. I actually conferred with him before I came up here, which I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons that I talked to him is because I've jumped on Facebook and did some things before, not considering how it was going to affect him.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, I definitely did not want to do that. And he understood why I was doing it, because we really need to talk about mental health, not mental illness, as well as mental health
yes.
in the Black community.
Yep.
And depression is not just a Black thing or a white thing. It's an all of us thing.
Yep.
The thing is that I'm a Black woman. And it is taboo in our community to talk about it. We're just taught, take it to Jesus, lay on the altar, and everything will be okay. God is great. He is. But we also have doctors, and we have people who are training for mental health counseling. Yeah. So I'm doing well. I still have dark days.
Yeah, we all do.
I have dark days. I have struggles. I talk it out. At the beginning of my marriage, I went through a major depressive episode. Right. It was crazy because I'd lost my car, I'd lost my job, didn't have no extra money. I felt like I wasn't bringing anything to the table. And I remember Soteria Shepardson, I love you forever. She came to me and she was like, Ty, she was like, you don't feel like you bringing nothing to the table. She said, you bringing you to the table. You like the best thing.
There you go.
Like you like the best thing.
There you go.
And
you are.
Yeah, thank you. And that was hard for me because it's one thing not have no job and I'm on my own. It's one thing not have no car on my own. I've been without that before, but now I'm linked up with somebody. Yeah. And I felt like I was being a burden. Right. And then not only that, I couldn't hide. Right. I was used to go hide, go into seclusion for
you can't do that.
Get it together and then come back out and wear my mask.
You can't do that.
This man right here in my face.
Yeah.
And I can't hide what I'm dealing with.
That's right.
And so to have such support for him, and there's way more to the story, but we don't went over an hour, and I thank y'all for being so patient. But yeah. All
right. So in closing, words of advice.
Words of advice for people. Okay, so don't attempt to, if you're a person that is dealing with any type of trauma, if you dealt with any type of trauma in your life and you have not talked to somebody professionally about it, you very well may want to consider doing that, because it can affect so many facets of your life. You are not weak because you have dealt with trauma. If you are a person that is finding yourself in cycles where it seems like you are sabotaging yourself, why do I keep dealing with the woman that cheats on me? Why do I keep dealing with the man that cheats on me? Why do I keep ending up in these abusive relationships? Broken people have a tendency to attract broken people. So until you heal, more than likely you will continue to be in that cycle. If you have someone in your life and you are noticing they don't like going out anymore, they used to love going to the movies or going out to the mall, they're like, and they just keep passing. They're withdrawn, they're sleeping all the time. They're just saying, I'm tired, or they're saying their body is hurting and they can't figure out why.
Hypersomnia.
Yeah, that can be a huge issue, and that's what you look at. That could be very cranky. If you have somebody who really can't concentrate, that's one I didn't know that was one of them. The fogginess.
Oh yeah.
Dude, the fogginess that can come with depression, like, start paying attention. And when you ask somebody, how are you doing? Actually pay attention to the response. Yeah. Because sometimes we're just waiting for somebody to actually pause and really wonder, how are we doing?
That's it. Sometimes a smile or just a hello is enough.
Yeah.
So, and that's, when people are dealing with depression and everything, they just want to know that somebody else actually cares.
Yeah.
So, but like I said in the last post, be patient with us.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't want to.
It's hard.
It's just really hard. So
it's not something somebody can just snap out of.
No.
That's the thing we're taught. It's like, snap out of it.
I mean,
you got a family, you got a good job, you got this. If somebody has money, you got money. You're smart, you did this. I mean, what are you sad about? Yeah. It's like, Hun, it's something going on.
Oh,
It's chemically sometimes something going on. Sometimes it's a result of things that we haven't dealt with in years.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no doubt.
and if you are not weak, and if some people medication is great.
Yep.
It wasn't. I ended up trying it. I think I tried Wellbutrin, but Wellbutrin didn't work well for me. It made my stomach ache,
Right.
and so I stopped. I stopped in like days,
Right.
literally. But I still had talk therapy. I did psychotherapy.
Yeah, and medication worked for me,
See,
and I also did therapy. So it's to
Foundation.
each his own. So you know, some people are good with meditation, yoga, working out,
yes,
therapy,
working
doing
out
whatever
rocks.
you need to do, writing in your journal, and that's all well and good. It's not just it's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, but the
Pretty much.
first thing is acknowledging
That you
that
got.
it's an issue, and knowing you are not weak. I have to keep saying it with us, because this whole strong black woman, hear me roar. I'm still strong, and I'm still black, and I still roar. But I can roar, but I'm not gonna do it right now.
Please don't.
But but the thing is that I have issues.
Yeah.
I still have issues. I still have things that I work with, that I work through. But I have an inner circle that I talk to now. Now I don't feel any type of obligation to just deal with it on my own.
Right.
I don't. And the reason I'm telling my story now and just putting it out there on Front Street, I don't want somebody to die that doesn't have to die because they felt like they were alone. I don't want somebody to suffer that doesn't have to suffer because I didn't take the time to just simply share my story. For those who love me, they gonna love me anyway. Like I said, some people, they found out about, oh, she dealt with a married man. They may not ever deal with me anymore. Well, I thank you for being my friend for as long as you were. There are plenty of folks who are like me with that whole abortion issue. Like, I still don't want people to go out and have abortions. I really don't. If it's not incest, I'd rather you not. But now, once I was on that table, I understand how people end up being where they were.
Right.
So, and the trauma that comes after that is real too. But that's a whole nother thing. I want to help as many people as I can. There's way more to the story, but as many people as we can help, because folks out here feel like they got to do it alone,
And they don't have to.
and you don't.
You don't have to. You got us. We're here.
Yeah.
We're here. So, and I'm so glad that you're still here.
Yes,
So-
man. Likewise.
So,
Love you
I
forever.
love you back. So I want to thank Tahita for coming on and sharing her story.
Thank y'all for watching.
You're awesome. You're amazing. Be the fire. I push greatness. Ty Miles Productions.
Yeah.
She does it all, folks. So y'all be on the lookout for her. Thank you guys for watching Fade the Shade Away. We will be doing it again soon. We got maybe 2 more episodes of the mental health series. I'm gonna still get with my girl Gina. She's gonna talk about how mental health affects family. So
Ooh.
be on the lookout for that. And thank you guys for your time. You guys are awesome. If you didn't know already, I love you. All right, take care of yourself. Peace.